Welcome to Cebu, Expat by Matt Wilkie, discussing expat life in the Philippines.
In the negativity, I would say you have to be grateful for what you have, what you've achieved, what you're going to achieve, and direct yourself in a way that no matter what, you're constantly seeing the positives. I'll give you an example. If something goes wrong, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be that, say, your business was on the verge of bankruptcy or whatever. The way I look at things is I'm not disabled. I've got a beautiful wife, loving wife, and amazing kids. The business becomes secondary. The business is something that is there to provide for the family. If it's failing, so what? You still have the family. All you have to do is find another way to provide, or redirect and redevelop your business and get it working right. The same goes for whatever you want to do in life, is creating goals and heading for them. People assume that you're always going to get it right. No, you won't. If you do, you're very lucky. But what separates people from people like myself from a lot of other people is it doesn't matter how things go in life. You know, sometimes they go well, sometimes they go bad. But what happens is we don't change our direction. We decide that this is the way we're going to go, and we keep to it. I remember the Philippines, for example, where I would go overseas for 3 months, 4 months at a time. And the way we look at it, I mean, the phrase that we used to say is, I'm going to the factory, because we called the UK the factory. But basically what it means for us, as I explained to my wife, is 3 to 4 months of me in the UK could be as much as 5 years for an overseas Filipino worker to generate the same amount of income. So when you put that into context, you're already 5 years ahead of most people by just that short stint overseas. And that's pretty much how I weigh everything up all the time. I look at, well, okay, we do this, short term, it's a problem, long term, we're ahead. Spain, right now, we've just about got a property that we like, we've just about got the mortgage signed off, just about to get all the deal going the way we want it. Fingers crossed we have no issues. But this year it will cost a few euros. Next year will cost a few euros, but I will not be paying a mortgage in 20 years' time. I probably won't be paying that mortgage in 2 years' time, because our focus short term is to get rid of the debt. I didn't want a mortgage initially, but the way this year is going, we could buy a 1-bedroom, but this is a 3-bedroom apartment with underground parking for not much more than I'd pay for a 2-bedroom flat. So common sense dictates go for it. It's a little bit more, but it's a lot more property for the same budget, for a little bit more budget. So you got to understand that if you make a small sacrifice, it's not changing direction that's the important bit. It's driving it forward and valuing what you have, but also being aware for anything you don't have, it doesn't matter. If you still, if you got your family, you got your kids, you got the important things in life, everything else does not dictate your life. The rest of it will fall into place no matter what. I remember a friend of mine, he developed a drinking problem because of stress over his business. His business was no longer viable. It was paying more in debts than it was actually bringing in, to the point that there was no sense of even carrying the business on. He suffered with a lot of stress, alcoholism, and basically I just said to him, look, just go bust, go bankrupt. And I know a lot of people out there that like people investing, like to do the investment stuff. would say that's the last thing people want to do. Well, I'll be honest with you. If it was a fair deal, I might think the same. But at the end of the day, the guy's life was suffering. There was no viability out of it. They just kept hammering more and more charges on it. They got greedy. Because if you're already getting hammered with so much interest charges and overdraft fees, etc., they have basically hammered his business to the point of no point continuing. Where if they'd been a bit more sensible about it, he would have continued being a viable business. But it's the same with most businesses. There's a reason we call the UK rip-off Britain. But anyway, he went bust. Within 3 months, he pretty much had all his stuff repossessed that was of value. But within 3 months, he was working in a small factory and rebuilding his life from scratch again. But there was one thing that he had which he was losing prior to that, and that was his wife. Prior to that, the guy was pretty much wasted most of the time, didn't function as a human being too well due to his stress levels. Where now he doesn't drink, he's still working at another, well no, actually no, he's not. He's actually started another business now. He's actually got a burger van, which is quite funny, because he's not really a good cook, but it's working. He's not looking to get rich anymore. He's more happy with understanding what it is to be content in life. He's still happily married. If he had continued on that path of destruction that involved debt and trying to keep a business afloat that would have been viable without the debt, or would have been viable with the interest and everything else being at a rate that was affordable, or should I say sustainable, he would still be running it now. But he may have lost his wife during that time. So you have to weigh everything up. That's why I say I always value everything. You know, if something goes wrong for me, I go, okay, learn from my mistake. Every business venture we've had has actually worked because I persevere with things. I'm not one to use outside people unless I need to. It's like the call centre. I understand the IT better than most of the guys in the IT in Cebu, because I learned it from scratch, and I sat there for initially a month solid learning how the software worked. And I started to realise a lot of the IT guys didn't know as much as I did in that first month, because I was asking them specific questions about the software itself. They just did not know, because it was more a case of one IT guy had learned something at some point, then he taught the next guy, and he taught the next, and he taught the next, and it just gets watered down where nobody actually knows why anything does anything. They just know it does it because they were told that does it. But anyway, yeah, persevere, but always value what you've got, not what you're going for. And if you're going for something, make sure it's worth bothering for. Our home in Spain is our home. That's our European home. It's also kept me away from a UK mortgage in a property in UK. Something I would never do in my lifetime. I can afford it. I wouldn't want it. I've got a friend at the moment that's just got into that situation where financially they're starting to go backwards. He earns a good wage, and part of that problem is that if you earn a good wage, you don't get any of the tax benefits. I'm pretty borderline. I'm earning a lot less this year than I normally earn because I work for a company instead of freelance, but at the same time I'm still entitled to some of the government see, it's not even government money, is it? It's my money, because I pay a lot more in tax than I get back anyway. So I can recover some of the money that the government take from me, because I still pay way more than I ever get from the state. But if I had a mortgage here, my life would be like everybody else's, and I don't want to be trapped in for 25 years, and that's why I look at the grateful asset, where the fact is I'm not in Spain every week, but in 2 years' time I will have no mortgage in Spain, but a 3-bedroom property. I look at the fact that I've got my beautiful wife and kids. Everybody's happy. I'm not as home as much as I would like at the moment, but over time my work will reduce and my time at home will increase. So what could I ask for? It's the life we want. All right, thanks for watching.